A strange silence covered the stars. Then, without warning, Earth's moon lit up with an eerie glow. It wasn't natural. It wasn't human. Something massive had arrived, floating in the darkness, silent, but full of power. Every satellite near the moon went offline. Then came the voice. The message came on every screen, radio, and signal across Earth. It wasn't a voice like humans knew. It was cold, deep, and full of command. "This is the Korgan Empire," the voice said. "You will kneel, you will surrender, or you will be destroyed." People across Earth froze. In homes, offices, military bases, and space stations, everyone heard the same thing. The message was clear. The aliens had come, and they wanted war. The Korgans were known in deep space. Other alien races whispered their name with fear. They had destroyed 5 planets before Earth. They never asked questions. They just demanded surrender. And when they didn't get it, they wiped out entire civilizations. Now it was Earth's turn. The president of the United Earth Council held an emergency meeting. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats argued for hours. Some said they should surrender to avoid death. Others wanted to negotiate. But no one knew how to fight an enemy that traveled across stars and destroyed worlds like toys. In the middle of this chaos stood one man, Commander Jace Ward. He didn't speak right away. He watched, listened, and waited. But when the arguments grew louder and panic started to fill the room, he stood up. "They don't want peace," Jace said quietly. "They don't want to talk. They want to rule. And if we bow now, we will never rise again." One of the generals laughed. "You're brave, Commander, but bravery won't stop their weapons." Jace looked at the screen showing the massive alien ship near the moon. He saw its sharp edges, glowing lights, and the way it just waited, like a beast ready to strike. Then Jace walked to the main communications panel and pressed the global broadcast button. Across Earth, people saw him. His face was calm, his eyes steady. He didn't wear a suit or uniform, just the dark clothes of a space commander. Behind him, the stars glowed softly. "This message is for the Korgan Empire," Jace said. "You came to our home. You demanded we kneel, but we are not a weak people. We are not afraid of war. So listen carefully." He leaned closer. "If you want war, then you've chosen death." The message ended. There was silence again. But this time it wasn't fear. It was something else. Pride, hope, fire. The aliens didn't answer right away, but their actions spoke louder. More Korgan ships appeared near Mars. The Earth satellites showed a large fleet forming, dozens of warships, moving like a storm. The invasion had begun. Jace returned to the orbital base above Earth. He stepped into the command room of the Resolute, Earth's last great warship. It was old, heavy, and not perfect. But it was powerful. And it was ready. The crew stood as he entered. Young officers, engineers, and pilots all ready to follow his lead. "We don't have the numbers," one officer said. "They'll crush us." Jace looked at the hologram of the alien fleet. "Maybe," he replied, "but we're not fighting for victory. We're fighting for Earth, and I'd rather burn than let them take it." Down on the planet, cities prepared for war. Shields were activated. Old weapons were brought back. Nations that once hated each other stood side by side. People watched the sky. The stars that once felt peaceful now felt full of danger. A small child looked up and asked her mother, "Will they hurt us?" The mother knelt and smiled, though her eyes were wet. "Not if our heroes stop them." In deep space, the alien leader Zorthan stood aboard his flagship. His body was tall, armored, and covered in glowing skin. He laughed when he saw Jace's message. "These humans think they can resist," he growled. "They will learn fear." Another Korgan officer spoke. "Should we destroy them now?" "No," Zorthan replied. "Let them watch us come. Let them feel weak. Let their hope rise, so we can crush it." Back on Earth, Jace met with the science team. They had found something strange. A signal, deep under the surface of the moon. It wasn't Korgan, it wasn't human either. It's old, the lead scientist said. But it's powerful, some kind of beacon or tech. Maybe from a forgotten war. Jace nodded. Prepare, a small team. We're going down there. He didn't wait for backup. With 5 others, he landed near the hidden signal point. They walked into a dark cave, lit only by their suits, and deep inside they found something incredible. A metal door with glowing lights covered in dust. Old words were carved into the wall. For the day we fall. Jace touched the door. It opened slowly, revealing a long hallway and machines that looked older than Earth's space history. Lights came to life. A voice spoke in the chamber. Human access detected. Welcome. The room filled with light. The team stared at what looked like a command center. Holograms, weapons, blueprints, all from a time no one remembered. This is a hidden base, the scientist said, shocked. We didn't build this. Someone else did, and they left it for us. Jace looked at a large device in the center. It pulsed softly, waiting. Prepare it, he said. We may need everything. Back on the ship, more Korgan vessels appeared. Earth now had 3 days before they entered the lower orbit. Panic started again. But Jace didn't blink. He returned to Earth and stood before the people once more. They're coming, and they think we're weak. But we are the children of war. We've fought each other, we've survived pain, loss, and darkness. And now, we fight together. The crowd cheered. The final night before battle, Jace stood alone at the top of the orbital station. He looked at the stars, remembering his family, his past, and everything Earth had lost. He didn't know if they could win, but he knew they had to try. As the first Korgan ship entered Earth's atmosphere, alarms went off. Weapons charged. The war had begun, and Earth, led by one man's refusal to kneel, was ready to fight back. The stars above Earth glowed with a quiet light, but that calm meant nothing now. Far beyond the planet's edge, alien ships moved like shadows in the dark. They came in silence, not rushing, not hiding. Confident. Cold. Ready to take what they believed was already theirs. People on Earth stood in long lines to gather food and water. Cities turned off their lights to avoid becoming targets. Schools were closed. Soldiers were sent to their posts. Children asked their parents why they couldn't look at the stars anymore. No one had the heart to answer. In space, Earth's defenses formed a wall of steel and fire. Every nation had sent ships, drones, and satellites. It was the largest human fleet ever made, but when placed beside the incoming alien fleet, it still looked small. Inside the command ship, the Resolute, Commander Jace Ward stood before a large screen watching the enemy's approach. His crew was quiet. They were trained to be calm, but every eye held a shadow of fear. Status, Jace said softly. All defense lines are active, his second-in-command replied. But their ships outnumber ours 20-1. Jace didn't flinch. He looked, down at the old silver band on his wrist. It had belonged to his brother, a soldier who never came home. He remembered his promise, never stop fighting for those who can't. They think numbers decide everything, Jace said, but they forgot who we are. The alien ships began scanning Earth's defenses. One of the enemy commanders sent out a new message, calm but full of judgment. You have had your time. Step aside. Our way is stronger. This is your only chance to leave this peacefully. Jace stood up, walked to the communications panel, and spoke in a clear, even voice. We are not leaving. This is our home. You'll find no welcome here. The message was simple. The alien commander didn't reply. Instead, their ships moved into attack position. The first strike came without warning. A bolt of energy cut through one of Earth's outer satellites, leaving only sparks and dust. Then 3 more human ships were hit. Alarms screamed across the stations. Fires lit the cold of space. Return fire, Jace ordered. Earth's defense systems came alive. Lasers and rockets raced toward the enemy. Explosions lit the sky. The stars were lost behind clouds of smoke and light. Still, the alien ships kept coming. Even as human ships were torn apart, they did not back down. Pilots locked onto enemy targets and flew straight into danger. No one ran. Not one turned away. Down on the planet, the people watched from screens. Families held hands. Strangers stood together in silence. Everyone knew this fight would decide more than just borders or pride. This was about survival. Jace's ship moved forward through the chaos. The crew worked without panic. Every officer followed orders, even as power flickered and pressure alarms rang. Suddenly, a warning appeared on the screen. A large object was approaching fast. A strange signal came from it, one Earth had never seen before. "It's not just another ship," the technician said. "It's a command carrier, bigger than anything we've seen." Jace narrowed his eyes. "That's where their leader is." The technician looked nervous. "If we attack it directly, we may lose everything." Jace thought for a moment. Then he gave the order. "Set course." We hit it first. The crew hesitated, but then, one by one, they nodded. They trusted him. He had earned that trust not through fear, but through belief. As the Resolute moved toward the enemy command carrier, the ship shook from enemy blasts. Inside, sparks flew. A support beam crashed to the ground. But no one stopped. Jace stood at the front window, watching the alien vessel grow larger. "They believed we would surrender," he said quietly. "They believed wrong." Then he pressed the command to activate a weapon, one found in the old moon base, barely tested, unknown even to most of Earth's leaders. It pulsed with deep blue energy. "This is our moment," Jace said. The weapon fired. A silent wave of energy burst from the ship. It wasn't a normal blast. It passed through enemy shields like they weren't even there. The enemy carrier shook. Lights blinked off across its body. Its engines died. Across the battlefield, enemy ships paused. Confused, broken for a moment, Earth's forces saw their chance and pressed forward. Human ships, once outnumbered and pushed back, now moved with new strength. They didn't fear death. They didn't seek retreat. They knew the sky belonged to them. Even as the battle raged, one thing became clear. This was not the end. It was just the beginning of something greater. Humanity had stood its ground, and the enemy, for the first time, began to doubt. The stars no longer looked peaceful. The sky had turned into a place of echoes, flashes of light, trails of broken ships and drifting pieces of metal. Silence filled the space between the battles, but it wasn't a true silence. It was the kind that came right before something. Big Commander Jace Ward stood at the edge of the Resolute's command deck, staring into that quiet. The enemy command vessel had been damaged but not destroyed. And now, it was changing its formation. Enemy ships began moving closer, tighter, like a single living thing curling its fists. Across the galaxy, many had faced the Korgan Empire. All had fallen, but none had ever stopped one of their command vessels before. Humanity had done it, and that meant something. Something dangerous. Inside the alien command carrier, the leader watched the screen. His bright, cold eyes studied the human ship that dared to strike first. "They learn fast," he said to his advisors. "Faster than expected." One of the officers replied, "They've grown stronger in this short time. They are not like the others." He turned and answered in a sharp, controlled tone, "No, they're not. And that's why we must act now." Back on Earth, news of the damaged alien carrier spread like fire. People who had been hiding inside bunkers began to peek out. Those who had lost hope began to whisper it again. In one city, a girl climbed up to the top of a ruined building with a small radio. She clicked it on, hearing the distant static of a broadcast from orbit. "This is not the end," the voice said. "This is proof. We can stand. We can push back." On the Resolute, the science officer approached Jace with a strange report. The weapon from the moon base, they still didn't know what it was fully made of, but it seemed to change the energy around it. Alien technology didn't work the same way when near it. That meant the humans had found something rare. Something the aliens might not understand yet. Is it safe to use again? Jace asked. We think so, but the effects are getting wider. It's like it's growing. Jace didn't answer right away. He looked out into the darkness, thinking not just about war, but about what they had awoken on the moon. There was something ancient in that base, something left behind not just as a weapon, but maybe as a warning. Still, there was no time to question it now. The alien fleet began its second move. This time they didn't spread out. They formed a wall, thick, dense, and closing in on the upper layers of Earth's orbit. Their goal wasn't to destroy from afar. They were coming close. They want to end it fast, one of the tactical officers said. Then we don't let them, Jace replied. Call in the reserve fleets, activate the defense grid. Every satellite, every drone, every last scrap of tech Earth had left was thrown into the sky. The Resolute turned, flanked by two smaller cruisers, and began its final burn toward the enemy wall. The sky lit up again, not with simple strikes, but with energy bursts, shield pulses, and countermeasures. The air between ships became thick with motion, each one dodging, tracking, surviving. Jace's voice came over the comms. We hold this line. No one steps back. Not one ship falls alone. For the first time, ships from different nations flew in perfect unity. The fighter crafts danced between enemy fire. Tiny drones latched onto enemy hulls, disabling systems and giving human ships the opening they needed. The fleet moved as if guided by one will, because at this moment they were. In the heart of the enemy formation, the command carrier began to glow. Power flowed across its skin, brighter and faster than before. They're preparing something, the science officer warned. This may be their final attempt. Then we end it before they begin, Jace said. He gave the order to push forward. The human fleet shifted, surrounding the enemy command ship from all sides. Jace moved closer, the energy weapon charging once more. The power inside the ship was intense now, humming through the walls like a living thing. The weapon fired again. A burst of blue energy struck the enemy vessel. But this time, something strange happened. Instead of just damaging the ship, the blast seemed to break open a shell. A glowing sphere rose from the impact, floating into space like a beacon. Suddenly, every ship, human and alien, received a strange signal. Not words, not sound, but memory. A flash of images, feelings, shadows from another time. A war long before humans existed, a battle between civilizations that shaped stars, a warning left behind. When power grows without balance, it ends everything. The signal stopped. The sphere faded. But something had changed. The alien ships paused. Their formation slowed. For the first time, the command ship pulled back. On the Resolute, Jace felt the shift too. They've seen it, he said quietly. Whatever we found, it shook them. The alien fleet didn't retreat completely, but they no longer advanced. And in that pause, in that breath between strikes, humanity saw something it had never seen before in these enemies. Doubt, and in doubt, there is always a chance. The silence that followed was heavy, like the calm before a storm, but it carried something different this time, a strange hope. The alien fleet had pulled back, but their ships remained close, their sensors still watching. The battle wasn't over, but a new feeling had entered the fight. Uncertainty. Commander Jace Ward stood on the Resolute's bridge, the glow of distant stars reflected in his eyes. He had seen many things in his life, but never this. The enemy, hesitating. It was as if the humans had uncovered a secret the aliens weren't prepared for, and it changed everything. Around him, the crew worked quietly, their focus sharper than ever. Every system was checked and rechecked, every weapon and shield ready, but no one dared speak the word that lingered on their lips: peace. It was too soon. Too fragile. Jace's thoughts drifted back to the strange signal, the flash of memories from a time long gone. It was like a message sent across time itself, a warning from a past that still haunted the stars. What did it mean for this battle? Could it change the course of everything? In the quiet, a new message came through the comms, not from the aliens, but from an unknown source. The voice was calm, deep, and spoke in perfect human language. "You seek strength," the voice said, "but strength without wisdom brings ruin. Choose your path carefully." The Resolute's crew exchanged glances. The voice was not from their enemies, and not from Earth. It was something else, something ancient. Jace replied, steady and clear. "We fight to protect our home. We fight for all who call Earth their home. Who are you?" There was a pause. Then the voice answered, "We are the Watchers, guardians of balance. Long ago, we warned those who wield power without care. Now, your actions echo that ancient warning. Your enemy fears what you hold, but so should you." The crew was silent. The Watchers were myths, stories passed down through generations. No one had believed they were real. Now they were here, speaking through the void. Jace felt the weight of his choices. Every decision since the invasion had been about survival. But survival was more than fighting. It was understanding. He knew that if he ignored this message, the war could become something far worse. "We want peace," Jace said, "but not at the cost of our freedom. Tell us, how do we end this?" The Watcher's voice softened. "Balance must be restored. You carry a power unknown to your enemy, but it is not enough. You must learn its truth before it consumes you." Before Jace could ask more, the message ended. Outside, the alien fleet began to move again, but this time slowly, carefully. They sent a small delegation ship toward Earth, signaling a desire to speak. On Earth, leaders debated. Some wanted to continue fighting, others hoped for the chance to listen. The world held its breath. Jace prepared for the meeting. He knew the risks. Meeting with an enemy was dangerous, but it was also necessary. The delegation ship landed on a neutral platform in orbit, where humans and aliens could meet. Jace stepped forward, his heart steady but his mind racing. The alien leader who emerged was not the cold conqueror he had imagined. Instead, he looked tired, worn by years of war and loss. "We did not want this," the alien said. "But our people followed a path that seemed right then. Now we see the cost." Jace nodded. "We want to end this, but trust is earned." The talks began slowly, with many doubts and fears. But as hours passed, something changed. The two sides found common ground, a shared desire to protect their homes, their families, their futures. The Watcher's warning still hung in the air. Both sides understood that power without wisdom could destroy everything. They agreed to seek knowledge together, to learn the truth behind the ancient weapon, the signal, and the war itself. On Earth, people watched as the news spread. Hope grew. The war was not over, but a new chapter had begun, one of understanding, of careful steps toward peace. Commander Jace Ward looked up at the stars, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. The fight was far from finished, but now there was a chance to change not just the course of war, but the fate of all who lived beneath those stars. The silence between the stars was filled with a new kind of tension, one not born from battle but from fragile hope. The once clear lines between enemy and ally began to blur, but trust was still a thread stretched thin over a deep divide. Commander Jace Ward stood in the quiet command room of the Resolute, staring out at the vastness beyond, where alien ships hovered like giants watching a fragile peace. The talks had continued for days. Meetings between humans and aliens were tense. Every word was measured, every gesture cautious. The alien leader, called Zarn, carried an air of quiet regret. He spoke softly of mistakes made long ago, of wars fought without understanding, and the cost that neither side was willing to pay again. But beneath the words was a question both sides feared to face. Could they truly change? Could centuries of fear and hatred be undone? Meanwhile, scientists on Earth and aboard the alien ships worked together to understand the strange power the humans had discovered. a power linked to the ancient weapon from the moon base and the glowing sphere released during the battle. The energy it gave off was unlike anything seen before. It seemed to pulse with a life of its own, a rhythm that connected past and future. Dr. Elena Mora, the lead scientist on the Resolute, studied the data closely. "This energy is more than a weapon," she said during a meeting. "It's a key to something ancient, something beyond either of our worlds." The aliens nodded in agreement. Their historians spoke of legends long forgotten, of beings called the Watchers, guardians who had once kept balance in the galaxy but had vanished, after warning others of their own power's danger. "What if this key unlocks a path to that balance?" one alien scholar suggested. Jace listened carefully. His mind raced. If the key could lead to peace, it was worth any risk. But what dangers lay ahead? What price might they pay? As the Alliance worked to unlock the secrets of the key, the wider galaxy watched. Other alien civilizations sent envoys, curious or wary. Some hoped for peace, others for advantage. The fragile Alliance was now at the center of a larger game, one with stakes far beyond Earth. Back on Earth, people struggled to believe in peace. Years of fear had changed hearts. Some wanted to hold on to old grudges. Others were ready to believe in a new future. In one small town, a boy named Liam listened to the stories of the war on his radio. His grandmother told him, "Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones inside us. Trust is the bridge that builds worlds." Liam's eyes shone with hope. He didn't know the full story, but he knew the truth in those words. On the Resolute, a new mission was set. Jason Zarn would lead a small team to explore an ancient Watcher outpost hidden on a distant moon, said to hold the knowledge needed to unlock the key's full power. The journey was long and filled with tension. Old fears crept in as humans and aliens traveled side by side, but with each passing hour, they learned more about each other's strengths and hopes. When they landed on the moon, the outpost was silent, covered in dust but still glowing faintly with the same blue energy. Inside, walls were etched with symbols telling the story of the Watchers, how they had balanced power and wisdom to protect life itself. The team discovered a chamber where the key fit perfectly into a strange device. When activated, it revealed visions not of destruction but of harmony, stars shining together, different worlds connected by light and understanding. Jace felt something deep inside shift. This was more than a war or a fight. It was a chance to change what it meant to be part of the universe. But the visions also warned of dangers. Misuse of this power could bring ruin. Balance required responsibility. Returning to the ships, Jace and Zarn shared what they had learned. The Alliance was no longer just about survival. It was about creating a new future, one built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. As the Resolute prepared to return to Earth, Jace looked once more at the stars. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time it was also full of promise. The stars above Earth had never felt so full of promise, and yet the weight of what lay ahead pressed heavily on Commander Jace Ward's shoulders. The alliance, formed between humans and the Korgan, had opened a door not only to peace but to something far greater, a future where old enemies might become partners in shaping the galaxy's destiny. But the final step was still uncertain, and the true test was yet to come. The Resolute sailed through space with purpose, carrying Jace, Zarn, and their team back from the ancient Watcher outpost. The knowledge they had uncovered was breathtaking. The power to balance strength with wisdom, technology with life, and ambition with responsibility. The device they had activated was not a weapon, but a guide, a way to connect worlds and heal wounds that had lasted for centuries. But as they approached Earth's orbit, a new challenge appeared. The other alien civilizations watching the fragile peace and the growing alliance began to make their moves. Some sent messages of support, others sent warnings veiled as threats. A shadow loomed in the background, a reminder that not all were ready to embrace this new era. Jace gathered his crew on the bridge. "We stand at a crossroads," he said, his voice steady but firm. "The path we choose now will shape not only our world but the entire galaxy. We must be ready for what comes. Zarn nodded. Our people have suffered. We want peace, but we must be cautious. Trust is new for us. The Resolute sensors picked up movement, small fleets from distant systems approaching. They carried no clear flag, no greetings. The unknown had come. As the ships drew closer, Jace ordered defensive measures, but the tension was not from a desire to fight. It was the fear of the unknown, the uncertainty that had haunted the galaxy for centuries. Suddenly, a ship broke from the approaching group and sent a signal. It was a message, not of war but a challenge. We seek to test your new alliance, the voice said, calm but firm. Only through trial can trust be earned. Jace understood. This was the ultimate test, not of weapons or fleets, but of will, wisdom, and unity. The trial was unlike any battle fought before. It was a series of challenges designed to measure the alliance's strength in communication, strategy, and cooperation. Humans and Korgan worked side by side, combining their knowledge and skills. The tasks required patience, creativity, and trust, qualities not born from conflict but from understanding. Each challenge pushed the team further, forcing them to confront fears and doubts. Old habits of suspicion fought against the new ways of partnership. But with each success, their bond grew stronger. On Earth, people watched in awe as the Alliance faced the trial. The world was united in hope, seeing the possibility of a future where differences were not a cause for fear, but a source of strength. At the final moment, the Resolute's crew faced the greatest challenge, a decision that required them to choose between power and peace. The device from the Watcher outpost pulsed with light, reminding them of the balance they sought. Jace stepped forward and spoke to the gathered leaders and crew. We choose peace. Not because it is easy, but because it is right. Because our strength is in unity and understanding and in hope for tomorrow. The unknown fleet acknowledged the choice. Their ships slowed, then withdrew. The trial was complete. The Alliance stood stronger than ever, not just between humans and Korgan, but as a symbol for the galaxy. They had faced doubt, fear, and challenge, and had chosen a new path. Jace looked out at the stars, feeling the quiet hum of possibility. The war that had once threatened to destroy worlds had become the spark for something new, a story not of endings, but beginnings. The future was uncertain, but it was theirs to shape. Together,